This competition will select the all-around champion of the festival, and that all-around competition will also pick 4 men to represent the United States in the World University Games in Kobe, Japan later this year, so it's a big evening.
And we talked about finding a successor, perhaps to Bart Connor, so who are our stars?
Well, you got to look at the champion of the U.S., Brian Babcock from Southern Illinois University, as your odds-on favorite. In addition to him, Charlie Lakes from the University of Illinois and a Californian, Billy Paul, that's been flirting around the edges. Could happen this week.
All right, let's get seated, Gordon. We've got the men's gymnastics championship coming up shortly. We've also got lots of boxing on tap. So right now, let's go to Al Bernstein.
But the Romanians were there, but the Soviets and the rest of the Eastern Bloc nations were not in L.A., and we didn't compete in 1980. So this will be the biggest coming up in 1988 since the year 1976 in Montreal. And that, of course, was the year of Nadia Comaneci and the Perfect 10. Ahead tonight, gymnastics and boxing. A look at our Olympic hopefuls for 1988 as we continue our live coverage of the National Sports Festival.
You can see that the North squad with a score of 90.20 is leading. The East is in the second spot, and so on with the West and the South. You're looking at 18-year-old Joel Tucker about to begin on the rings. And here again is Gordon Maddox.
There's a dislocate, high dislocate, shoot handstand, little toe break, little bit of arm bend. Now he bails out backwards for a giant swing. Picked up a little bit of swing, not a big problem so far. Now he settled into a straddle support. And from this comes a press. Lowers down from a planche, a rather weak planche, into a back lever. Back up rise. Now here comes the press. I took the fake. All right, some swing work now. Giant swing. Now he can stop that swing by bailing out at just the right time. And he did just exactly that. Gets a nice double flyaway out of it.
And a clean dismount for Joel Tucker, who's 18 years old, out of Utica, New York. Lives in Union Springs, New York, where he trains at the Finger Lakes Gymnastics Center under Coach Mike Henty. And he'll be a freshman at the University of Illinois at Champaign in this fall.
All right, here comes another look at his dismount. Gets a nice high dislocate, picks up all that swing that I talked about. Now he'll drop it at just the right moment, take a high, kind of an open tuck, double flyaway. The best part of the exercise probably was the dismount.
Let's swing over and pick up Billy Paul on the high bar now. 25 years of age, out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Lives in Millbrae, California. A graduate of University of California at Berkeley with a degree in history. And he's coached by Dr. Ron Weiss of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Interestingly, he's coached over the phone, Gordon.
Yeah. What a phone bill he's got to have. That call to Millbrae from Fort Wayne.
Otherwise, it's a long commute.
He's doing very well so far. After a couple of rotations, he's in second place. Having a good competition. He likes the high bar, and he works the high bar very well. He's an expressive gymnast. Show you a little artistic presentation. Now he'll open rather big. A big high start, and then a move called a Tkachev. Watch this now. It's a reverse hecht over the top of the bar. Catches it, tips back up. He's got to get into giant swings. Now, giant swings have to dominate the horizontal bar exercise. There's a release move called a Delchev, called a Genger, pardon me. Rolls into eagles. Hops out of the eagles. Shoots through a little bit hesitant there. He could have used a little more motion. Comes over the top. Now he'd like to keep it nice and smooth. Might have a triple flyaway here. 1, 2, 3. Boy, almost a triple. Triple right to the lips.
What happens in a case like that when you just don't make the third revolution?
Well, first of all, the score gets damaged severely. Could be up to a half a point. Now we're going to watch it again. Here comes the triple flyaway. Now he doesn't have a lot of speed going into it, which means he doesn't get a whole lot of lift. And he pulls it around as tight as he can get it. He just didn't have enough inertia coming off the bar.
Let's go back on the rings for just a second. Joel Tucker out of Utica, New York, and there are his scores for the rings. 7.90 for Joel Tucker. And now we go over to the vault and Brian Ginsberg. Ginsberg, 18 years old, out of Mobile, Alabama.
Here comes Brian now. Got to get some speed now. Everything he gets off the horse, he has to get from the run. Big push off. Now he takes a front handspring with a half twist. He can see the landing. Sets it in with a real nice landing. That little hop is just not a big problem.
Ginsberg, one of our gymnasts to watch here. We're in the men's championships on the campus of LSU. It's Assembly Center. I'm Jim Kelly along with Gordon Maddox alongside. Lots more boxing coming up with Al Bernstein ringside. But right now we'll take time out. Gymnastics and boxing still to come.
Now in gymnastics, let's check in on the men's all-around competition with Jim Kelly.
Thank you, Jim. And right now, the South leading the West as you look at the men's gymnastic team competition after 3 rotations alongside gymnastics expert Gordon Maddox. And now, as far as the men are concerned, after 3 rotations, Brian Babcock of the North is the leader, Charles Lakes of the South right behind, and then Tom Schlesinger. But right now, we'd like to show you the man that is in the 5th place in the individual championship. It's Wes Souter, who is 21 years of age, and he is up right now on the rings.
And he's a strong performer. He's just shot to a handstand. Now he bails out to a double whippet, it's called. There's a back rise. He'll lower to a cross. Reverse kick to an L. Now he'll get his strength press in. He has to swing to a handstand and use strength to get to the second handstand. He's fulfilled all that. Now here comes his dismount. Should be a full twisting double flyaway. No, a layout double flyaway.
Wes Souter, 21, out of Reston, Virginia, who started gymnastics at age 7. Now Bobby Sundstrom. Sundstrom in action right now over on the horizontal bar.
Had a little break there. Almost went the wrong way on his Stalder. There's a straddle front recatch. The release moves on the bar are really exciting now. There he's in Eagle Giant. Hops out of Eagles into an immediate pirouette. Getting set up now. There's a free hip circle. Oh, another problem. Almost went the wrong way again. That's twice in the same exercise. That really hurts the score. And a half in, half out double flyaway.
19 years old, out of San Diego. His hometown is San Jose, and he attends the University of California at Berkeley. Let's go back on the rings and check the score for Wes Souter. Again, he is in 5th place after 3 rotations. And on the horizontal bar, the score for Bobby Sundstrom. Billy Paul on the floor exercise is 25 years of age, out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He now lives in Millbrae, California, as we mentioned. And Billy Paul in 6th place in the individual after 3 rotations.
And watch this mount. It's a full twisting double back, and boy, he just nails it. Really nice start for Billy Paul. Billy Paul's a good performer. He works high. Nice front summy, 1 1/4. Now in scissors. Pardon me, a split. Now the rules require that he show some strength. It can be of any kind. He has to show some balance. He's doing that in a handstand now. Now he should be doing a whip back for his dismount. Should be a whip back to a double back somersault. Double full twister. More balance. Standing scale. And Billy has really been landing his tumbling moves well. Very, very solid. Double back. And boy, he just sticks that right in the mat, too. Really a nice exercise by Billy Paul.
And he's extremely happy with his landing right there. Billy Paul in 6th spot as far as the individual competition is concerned after 3 rotations. According on the floor exercise, they're required to make 3 specific tumbling passes.
That's true. And this is his final tumbling pass. Pike double back. Real well done. Now, they have to cover the entire floor, Jim, but they could cover it any way they wanted prior to this. Now it has to be. Oh, what a great score.
9.75 for Billy Paul, looking to move up after the 4th rotation. And now Rob Brown.
Rob Brown does a vault called a Cuervo, named after a Cuban vaulter about a decade back. It's a half turn, and then he sucks a back somersault out of the half turn. He likes it.
9.20, a good score for Rob Brown. Lots more team and individual competition coming up from Assembly Center here on the campus of LSU, and lots more boxing as well. Stay with us from the National Sports Festival.
Here on the campus of LSU, and again, Jim Kelly.
Thank you, Jim. And you can see how those standings have seesawed back and forth after 4 rotations now in the team competition. The West is back on top. As far as the individual competition is concerned, we have a new leader. It is now in the top spot, Brian Babcock. with Lakes in the second spot. Again, this is after 4 rotations. Charles Lakes and Billy Paul, who's in the third spot right now, age 25, out of Fort Bragg, about to compete on the pommel horse. Gordon?
Well, he's going to do longitudinal travels all the way down the horse. Oh, a big break. Wow, an automatic half-a-point deduction. That's a real serious problem. Especially a guy that's in third place coming into the event. Now he's back in circles. There's his Magyar spindle. Flares up the horse. Now he's required scissors moves. He's got one back scissor to do there. No back scissor there. Not in good shape. A little bit out of balance all the way around. Full twisting flare dismount, and I don't think Billy Paul will like that exercise, especially at this juncture of the competition.
Earlier, as you look at Chuck Gerardo, this is live, by the way. Chuck Gerardo, 18, out of Inglewood, California, currently attending Stanford, recently completed his freshman year, began the sport 10 years ago.
Not a big guy. He's just about average for a gymnast. 5'6", 138 pounds. And he has a dynamite start. Starts with a real nice swing move into an immediate strength move. Let's see if he catches it just right. He's waiting now for the judges to give him the okay. They're still working on a prior score. We'd like to have him get on with it, too. He's there rehearsing mentally his exercise. The United States Gymnastics Federation has a psychologist who's working with these gentlemen, trying to help them get into the right mindset before they attempt their exercises. And I'm sure that's what Chuck is going through right now, getting all set to go.
Gordon, what goes through your mind while there are 3 other events going on and the applause? It's got to be a strong distraction.
Just have to block it out. Now, there's that strength move that we talked about. Planche. Very nice. Yeah, there is a lot of confusion, and they just can't hear it. It's like a circus all the way around. Swing well. Ooh, see the leg form there in his stitch? Now he's lost his composure now. He touched his feet on the floor, and if the judges wish to, they can make a major deduction there.
What does that do to your routine and the concentration when you've lost it?
Yeah, he lost it, and it seemed to me that he kind of went blank. You know, when you're trying to say something on camera, and all of a sudden it goes away from you. The same thing happens here. All right, here comes his dismount again. Leans back a little bit, takes his double off. Good landing, but the exercise didn't make him happy.
Chuck Gerardo, age 18, out of Inglewood, California, 12th after 4 rotations. Let's go earlier to the floor exercise. And this is Babcock, Brian Babcock, currently the leader after 4 rotations.
Brian's getting all set now, getting the okay from his judges. That's a distraction, too, when you're all ready to go and the judges aren't ready for you.
Do you hear the fans calling out when they say, "Go, Brian"?
Yeah, kind of, but you really you're aware of it, but it doesn't really make a fix in your mind. That doesn't sound clear, but
Go this way.
He's asking the camera to move over to the right. He said, "Go this way a little bit." How about the brace on his left knee? Well,
he's had major surgery on that knee. He really had a total rebuild in there, and it stopped him for about a year. He's made a marvelous recovery since then. I would think that there would be something in your back of your mind, though. It's so easy to knock a knee out with the kind of stress they take on these huge landings that are coming out of gymnastics now. Okay, here comes Brian Babcock. This is an important meet for him. Not only will give him a championship here, also a trip to Kobe, Japan later on in the summer. Now here comes an Arabian 1 3/4 front somersault. Well done. Now he'll come back with his second pass and show you a double back somersault. That's a pretty strong tumbling passes back to back. He's got to get speed in his flip-flop. Takes it around. A little bit overspun. He sort of built that into the routine. You notice he went right into a front-leaning rest. That's a sort of a safety valve. Should he overturn it? There's a rotation in his flares. All right, now here comes a double full twister for a dismount. Nope, not yet. An into a dive roll. So far, the only really rough spot for Brian is out of that double back in his second tumbling pass. Now, the gong you heard, the little bell, signifies that he's satisfied the minimum time requirement, which is 50 seconds. From that point on, he has another 20 seconds to wrap up his routine. Here comes double full twister. Good landing. Nice routine.
He likes water skiing, hunting, and throwing the Frisbee, and he's the 1985 national champion, Brian Babcock, age 23, out of Garden City, Kansas. Take a look, Gordon, at the dismount.
All right, he gets good speed now. Not a lot of speed, but just adequate speed. He's going to be doing a nice twisting back somersault. Takes it up first, turns it around. 2 full rotations, a double twisting back somersault. Good ending. And, of course, that's the last thing that remains in the judge's mind.
Good job.
Very happy with his routine. And he's also in first place after 4 rotations. Billy Paul's score on the pommel horse and Chuck Gerardo's score on the parallel bars. We're in our 5th rotation. There's one more yet to go. Gymnastics and boxing straight ahead as we continue from the National Sports Festival here on ESPN. Along with Gordon Maddox, I'm Jim Kelly. Welcome back to the Assembly Center. The score for the 1985 national champion Brian Babcock after the floor exercise. Now it's time for a page 2.
Now,
The team competition first. Men's gymnastics. After 5 rotations, the North has regained the lead, followed by the West, the South, and the East, with 1 rotation left to go. And then the gold, the silver, and the bronze will be awarded for team competition. How about the men's all-round? Moving into 5th place, it is Bob Gauthier. It looks like Gauthier, but we asked Bob before the competition. He said he prefers Gauthier. Wes Souter is in the 4th spot. And Billy Paul right now in a position to challenge for the bronze. Charles Lakes is in the 2nd spot. And the 1985 NCAA champion Brian Babcock is in the top spot. This is Keith Cousineau on his floor routine. And Gordon?
Well, here's his double back mount. Perilously close to the edge there. And nice start. Should come back with a front through now to a nice Arabian dive. Now here's his press to a handstand. The new rules require, they demand more tumbling. It doesn't really give us much more tumbling than the athletes were doing before, but the rule book spells it out much more specifically. Punch front now. Keith is pretty tall, 6 feet for a gymnast. 17 years old, 165 pounds. That's tough leverage for a gymnast, by the way. He's working at sort of a mechanical disadvantage. Now here comes his double full for a dismount. Now he touches down, and the judges can take up to a half a point off for that double hand touch, which seems a little severe to me. But I don't write the rules.
That's Keith Cousineau, 17. Can I get a plug-in out of my hometown, Toledo?
Absolutely.
6th rotation for Keith. And let's check the standings as far as where Keith was after 5 rotations. You look here, Gordon.
Now here comes a straddle jump into a punch front, and he literally dives into his front-leaning rest. Nice transition move in the corner.
Keith was 25th after 5 rotations. Entering his senior year at Central Catholic High School in Toledo next fall.
All right, here comes another angle. Gets his round off. Generating a little speed now. Takes it up, turns it around, keeps his arms in nice and tight so that he'll spin in his double full, and there's the touchdown. And with his score, obviously that was a major deduction.
Getting ready for Brian Babcock on the pommel horse. Babcock currently in first place. There's his score after 5 rotations, trying to hold on for a gold in the all-round competition. Those medals to be awarded tonight. The individual competition is Saturday night, and Gordon and I will be here to bring it to you.
Brian has a very difficult pommel horse routine. The first part is patterned after a many-time world and Olympic champion, a young man named Magyar from Hungary. And Magyar really established the state-of-the-art in this event. And Brian will start with the same mount, or not the same mount, but much of Magyar's work in the early part of his routine.
He tells us this is his favorite apparatus. is your favorite automatically your strongest?
No, not necessarily. I think this is his favorite because he's innately a masochist. This is a very difficult apparatus to achieve satisfaction from. It's like being in love with a fickle woman.
Well, he's currently working on his master's degree in biomechanics, so you know he's got pretty good gray matter upstairs.
Well, he needs biomechanics to stay on top of that nag, I'll tell you. It's a tough one. Now, the judges are in a conference right now, Jim, and if the scores deviate too much, for example, at 9-5, they're only allowed to deviate 1/10 of a point, the two middle scores, from one another. And apparently the deviation was too great, and they made an adjustment. Now Brian is ready to start. I'll begin now with this Magyar travel. Behind the back, loop on one pommel. Very nice start. There's the Magyar. Work on the end now. A lot of behind the back work, which is a new innovation in the rules. It's been done for a number of years, but the rules now require you work behind your back if you want to get a big score. Reverse scissor. Now he'll show you at least two front scissors. There's his flare. Hop down to the end. Dismount now. Nice flare dismount. That's a great pommel horse. No wonder it's a favorite exercise for him. That tells you how good he is in the other events.
He's going to be tough to beat. Brian Babcock, the national champion, in first place after 5 rotations. Really, the horse, Gordon, is going to be a study in dynamics because the balance point is constantly changing.
Always. Watch as we show you this replay. It'll shift. The balance will shift from one hand to the other hand. And, of course, while he's on one hand, his center of gravity has to literally move over the hand that he's supported on. And working on one pommel gives you about 1 1/4 inch base to keep balanced on.
Wes Souter, current score, currently in the 4th spot, hoping for perhaps a bronze or a silver, over on the parallel bar.
Now watch here. He's going to show you a release. Oh, he missed it just like that in the warm-ups. Just exactly. Boy, to miss that twice in a row the same way is long odds. All right, take a look now. There he releases the bar. His feet hit before his hands. That was a great save, by the way, being able to hang on with one hand.
What happens in a case like that? He just came over the top a little bit too far?
He released too late, and it took him back into the bar instead of keeping him out away from the bar. And that, of course, really damages his standings in the all-around. That's an automatic half-a-point deduction. So now the base score is 9-4. That's actually should be penalized because he's repeated the move he fell off on. Oh. That may cause him an even lower score if the judges pick up on it. Getting set up for his dismount now. Layout, double flyaway. Good dismount, but a little too much, a little too late.
Keep in mind that Wes was in 4th spot as far as the all-around competition is concerned. And again...
All right, here comes his release. I think maybe we're getting set up for his dismount. Exactly. Bye-bye, Wes.
He'll drop down a few notches, and he was, unfortunately, in position to challenge for the bronze or perhaps the silver. Here is Brian Babcock, who's in first place after 5 rotations and a good score of 9.65. He'll be tough to beat. Still to come, the medals and lots more competition, and the all-round medals as well. Gymnastics returns. Stay with us. Back at the LSU Assembly Center here on the campus of LSU, Billy Paul is about to compete in the rings, and Billy Paul needs, I think, Gordon, a 9.55, is it, to overtake Brian Babcock?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Billy Paul, 25 years of age, out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, again lives in Millbrae, California. Graduated from the University of California at Berkeley with a degree in history, and is coached by Dr. Ron Weiss out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, over the phone. Well, if he could phone in a 9.55, he could overtake Brian Babcock.
Well, that really puts the pressure on Billy. He just can't afford to make a mistake on the rings, and the rings is that kind of event. Unless you mistime a move and generate a lot of swing, it's not like horse or like the horizontal bar where you can really foul up on a release move. The rings is a pretty steady exercise for most gymnasts. So if I had to pick a place to finish needing a strong score, I would guess rings would be a good place for it.
Linear motion translates very quickly to rotary motion.
Oh, you're talking about a crash if you peel off. Yeah, they'll be coming down real hard out of the handstand, turning that downward motion around with circular motion at the bottom and trying to get back up into a handstand, and the G-forces there are just unbelievable. Not uncommon to rip them right off the rings. There's a kip to a plunge. Very good start. There's a shoot handstand. Now you'll see him bail out, and that's what we're talking about, the linear motion. There it is, circular motion at the bottom. Right back up into a handstand. Now he's picked up just a little swing, but he's really got it under control. No big problem. Bell crossed. Drop back around. Now he'll kip and get up. Show you a press to a handstand. Now remember, he has to do 2 handstands. He's already swung to one. Now he's pressed to one, so he's fulfilled all the requirements. Getting set up for a full twisting double flyaway. Oh, I don't know that it's a 9.55. He had a couple of big steps on the end there.
Well, he needed a 9.55, Billy Paul did, to overtake Brian Babcock. And now Billy Paul, with that dismount, cannot win the gold. He's still in position, of course, for a silver or for a bronze. Charles Lake currently in the 2nd spot with that score, about to compete on the floor exercise. And you can see the concentration etched on his face right now. Of course, tumbling so important, Gordon, because it really sets the stage for all of the other apparatus.
You're absolutely right, Jim. Tumbling is the foundation for gymnastics. Almost every move you find in the gym, you can derive from a move that's taken from tumbling. Here comes Charlie's mount. It'll be a layout double back somersault. Oh, he's out of bounds now. That's a 10th off. Each touch out of bounds cost him a 10th of a point. Yes, and the judges threw up a yellow flag. They did see it. Other than the out of bounds and strong tumbling, now he really gets fabulous elevation in this move.
Gordon, does a mistake like that early in his routine on the floor, will that break his concentration for the rest?
I don't think so. It shouldn't anyway. It's the kind of thing that he really has no control over now. He's working well.
He's a psychology major, so maybe he won't have any problems.
He's talking to himself. Nice double back. Now you just heard the bell. He's fulfilled the minimum requirement. He'll be getting set now for a piked double back for his dismount. There it is. Oh, out of bounds again. That hurts Charlie Lakes. That's 2/10 right off the top of an exercise.
Charlie Lakes, age 20, out of St. Louis, Missouri. He was born in Newhall, California. And take a look at the replay of the mount right here. Now, Charlie needed, I think, Brian, a 9.75. He was out of bounds twice. No way.
Watch how he goes out of bounds. Now, he'll over-rotate this opening move. He takes it up, turns it around. Now, he's working so hard to get it around that he actually does it too well. Pulls his feet a little too far under him, which spins him right back out of bounds. All right, here comes another shot. This is probably his dismount, yes. Now he's going to do essentially the same thing there. He takes it back a little too much. Instead of taking it up, it went back. And there you see 2 automatic deductions.
There is Charles Lake out of St. Louis, Missouri. Let's go back and check the score on Billy Paul after his performance on the ring. Keep in mind he needed a 9.55. He will miss, but he is right now in the 3rd spot. The battle is for silver and bronze in the all-around competition. Brian Babcock has the gold locked up. The results and the medals when we come back.
Standings of the men all around in gymnastics, but let's make it official. Let's go to Jim Kelly and Gordon Maddox.
Once they leave college, it's really...
Thank you, Jim. You take a look now at the final team competition standings. The West wins the gold, the North gets the silver, the bronze belongs to the South, and that's how they finished 1, 2, 3 as far as the team competition is concerned. Individually, how were things? Well, Brian Babcock had that big lead after 5 rotations, and take a look, Gordon, at his final performance in the floor exercise.
Well, here comes on his start. He does a nice rush in front into an immediate dive roll. There's his lunge into a front-leaning rest. The style is really beautiful. All right, here's Charlie Lakes on the high bar. Now watch the elevation. Beautiful lift on his reverse heck. All right, he gets set up now for a reverse Stalder. Comes back out. Now look out when he gets set for his dismount. inverted giant. They'll come out, hop, immediate turn, generate some inertia. Now hang on to your hat. Beautiful layout, double flyaway. Boy, just right into the man.
And finally, Billy Paul, who gets the bronze on the ring.
Billy Paul has a nice finish here. Lowers to an L cross.
So that's the way they wind up. Again, it is Billy Paul, 25 years old, out of Millbrae, California, gets the bronze. 20-year-old Charles Lakes out of Newhall, Missouri, he gets the silver. And the winner is 23-year-old Brian Babcock out of Garden City, Kansas, and he's with Gordon Maddox.
Well, listen, Brian, I want to first of all give you my personal thanks for making me a winner. I predicted you were going to win the competition you did. Let me ask you a question. You had a marvelous competition, and then you're winding down in your last couple of events. You come to floor exercise, overturn your mount just a little and step out of bounds. How did that affect your mental set?
I knew I still had the rest of the set to do, and I knew I had to concentrate on it. It was a minor mistake, and I had to keep going, and that's what was in my mind.
How did you feel coming to pommel horse in your last event? Most people don't like the horse that well.
It's one of my stronger events, but as any gymnast can tell you that it's a bear to have right at the end, and I was a little nervous.
Well, congratulations. You did a marvelous job. Now back to Jim.
Thanks.
Okay, Gordon, thank you very much. Our gold medal winner, Brian Babcock, there. Of course, the men's team competition is complete, and the men's all-round as well, with Babcock getting the gold, and, of course, Charles Lakes getting the silver, and Billy Paul getting the bronze. But we've got lots more action coming up for you tomorrow night right here from Assembly Center. We'll have the women's team competition, the women's all-round competition, and it's all coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So Gordon Maddox and I will be here again tomorrow night, as will our host, Jim Simpson. So please join us once again from the National Sports Festival here on ESPN.